So, um, I decided to do this. The live thing is just because it makes it easier to record and stuff. And I decided to do this because I kind of need to do this, and I know that I'm going to make it, I guess, sort of simple. I guess the reason journals never worked for me growing up was because I always felt like it made me feel more alone and more isolated. And I know that chances are that no one's going to see this, and that's fine. That's not the point of this. Um, the fact is, it feels like I'm talking to at least somebody, and that's nice. Or that somebody might see it and get something out of it, because life's hard. And, um, I'm not saying that my life's any harder than anybody else's, but I'm having a hard time right now. And I decided to do this here because some of the people that don't want to see it, I know won't see it on YouTube. And I feel safer, ironically, here than I do where my friends are supposed to be. So, I don't know where I'm supposed to start, so I guess I'll just start where I've told a few close friends, which is that I'll get you caught up a little bit so that you're not completely in the dark if you're somebody new, which is that me and my wife have been going through sort of an off and on separation for 3 years. And it's kind of finalized itself now, in the fact that a month ago, well, I should say a year ago, we broke up for the last time, and I continued to live with her. But a month ago, she sort of informed me that she had intentions to find somebody to make her feel less alone. And I still have very strong feelings for her. I'm not actually going to sugarcoat it. I still love my wife very much. And I didn't move out to be petty or anything like that. I left because I don't know what she wants. And honestly, she's never been the strongest at exactly telling me what she wants. So I made the assumption that I'm going to be in the way, because I know I will. Because the only reason it's been on and off again for the past 3 years is because I've fought for our relationship. And I don't even know I know it was right for me, but I don't know if it was right for her. And I know I'm a good person. And that's taken me a long time to realize, because part of the reason that our relationship fell apart is because I deal with bipolar and the major depression that comes along with that. And I let that affect my behavior significantly. I let that sort of make decisions for who I was going to be. I let that be an excuse for my behavior. Because of things that happened, I felt resigned to being less than what I actually am. I resigned myself to being the lowest version of myself. And that impacted our relationship. I let my insecurities and my lack of belief in myself and all of those things and my pain and my frustration and my wife dictate my level of engagement in our relationship. And that impacted, our quality together. And there's a lot of things that happened. And I'm just talking about the things that I did. I'm not pointing any fingers or placing any blames. I'm only taking responsibility for the things I did here, because this is my journal, and I'm not spilling a mess across the floor, if you will, because I love my wife. I do. And maybe that makes me a fool. I don't care. And this is the reason I decided to make this video. And I can see that the microphone is barely even registering, so I'm not even sure that there's any audio to this. That's okay. That's fine. Anyway, I moved out a month ago. And I sort of went back through all the things that I've already been through emotionally. Not as heavy, not as strong as they once were, but it's still awful. It still hurts. It's still not fun. But a little less than a week ago, I thought of something. And I don't know, it's not easy. But I started thinking about, I don't know, I the first 2 or 3 weeks, I moved out. It's been over a month, but I just call it about a month. But the first 2 or 3 weeks, I watched videos on how to move on or how to get your ex back and all those types of things. And I watched all those things about what you should and shouldn't do and all those things. And I don't know, I felt a hollowness inside of me. Not just the emptiness of being without my wife, not just the emptiness of being away from my family, not just the loss of the previous life I had, but a hollowness of who I am, and I also, that was part of the reason I moved out, is to sort of reevaluate who I want to be, what it is I want from life. Like, people, part of those videos were, things like that are all like, who are you without your spouse and blah, 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 and all that stuff. And it's like, that's true. I never really knew who I was because, I was a kid with my parents, with my own problems with them. And then, I was a high schooler and all that stuff. And then, I met who was going to be my wife in high school, late high school. And I pursued her and all those things, and which was a big deal for me. It was a huge deal for me. It wasn't an easy thing. But I did it. I went down that avenue. Anyway, and the last 12 years of my life have been centered around her and myself and that connection to her. That's it. And our daughter. I mean, I'm not trivializing our daughter. I love my daughter very much. But my daughter is her own entity. She is always going to have an extraordinarily special place in my heart. It is never going to be affected by my life. Absolutely never. But that's not what I'm getting into. So, I've gone to therapy. I've been in therapy up until 2018, I was in therapy. I started in the 6th grade. Um, I want to say that I was in the 6th grade in let's see. I want to say since 2003, so probably close to 13 years, because there was a year or two that I didn't have therapy and stuff like that because of moving from one town to another town, and then also when me and my wife got married and she and I moved to where we are living now, the town we're living in now. That affected my access to therapy. But I started thinking about who I am, what I want, what kind of goals do I want to set for myself, what kind of goals can I set for myself that won't damage any futures that I might want. Short-term goals that I can pursue, and long-term goals that I can pursue. So, I still have strong feelings for my wife, so I can't get involved emotionally, not significantly with anybody. That wouldn't be fair to them. And I can't pursue my wife because she's moving on. I can't there wasn't a whole lot I could do. So I could set financial goals. I could set goals about my daughter. That was good. I could set goals about what I can do for her. Again, she's a separate entity. That was easy. I couldn't set certain goals because certain goals that I used to have for my daughter, I can't give her anymore. That wholesome, intact family. I had an intact family, but the wholesomeness, that might have been lacking. The quality childhood, that might have been lacking. And my wife, she lacked that complete, connected family. So my hope, to a certain extent, is that, and it breaks my heart to say this, but that if we don't get back together, that she finds somebody that my daughter can have that life with. That she can have that complete whole family. Now, it's not what I wanted, but it's a version. So I have to look at the things that I can do. I have to look at the things that I have control over. What can I do? And so I started making those goals. Well, financially, what goals can I make? I can make smart financial decisions. I can set goals for myself that are smart decisions, that no matter what I do, no matter what happens, whether my wife wants me back, whether I want my wife back, whether I find somebody new, whether I don't, whether she does, whatever. There are solid decisions. So saving up money to, just in general, saving up money to buy a house in another town, then I could, worst case, I rent it out. Best case, I have a place to live. It's not my very well-meaning and very good friend's basement. That's a good goal. But it's a practical goal. It's not a goal of my heart. It's not a goal of my character. And that's really the type of person I am. I'm a person driven by character. It's what I do. It's a fault and a strength at the same time. Practical things, they're fleeting to me. I have money, I don't have money. Okay, whatever, cool. It's stressful, I'll say that, to not have money. Have money, obviously, not stressful. But to not have money, yeah, it's stressful because you need that. You need money to do things. But money's never been sort of fulfilling. It's a means to an end. It's a means to go and do something with the people you care about. It's a means to go and have an experience or get something that will give you that experience. So even though I was setting these financial goals for myself, for my daughter, potentially my wife, setting up, like beneficiaries in her name, she's one of the people I don't want to see this. Because most of these journals are probably not going to be in a good place. And I'm not in a terrible place. It's just, we have our good moments and our bad moments through the days. And these journals I feel are going to be for the bad moments, for the moments I need to get something off my chest. Because everybody's got their problems. And I used to help shoulder my wife's burdens, and my wife used to help shoulder my burdens, but I don't have that person anymore, and that's okay. Sometimes things sit inside and they eat you up, and you can't let them sit inside and eat you up. You gotta get them out. And that's why journals never worked for me, because it just feels like it's still inside. It's just written down. I wrote my wife a letter. A couple of them. I didn't give them all to her. Matter of fact, they weren't supposed to go to her. But I ended up giving them to her because of that exact same reason. Because it needs to be out. You can't hold it in forever. But getting back onto my point, I know I go off on tangents a lot. What I sort of thought about recently, what I mulled over, worked on, and thought through, is being honest and earnest about myself. The goals that I was talking about. What goals can I really set for my heart? Well, to be less lonely. Got my friends, but I work a schedule that's sort of inverse to theirs. Don't really get to see them. That's not really helping. Same with my parents. I don't really get to see them. My brother, who I used to spend a decent amount of time talking to, he rents from my wife. So that makes it difficult to talk to him. It also sort of just trudges up all that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm good at keeping a strong face and all that stuff, and it doesn't hurt too bad, but it doesn't really hurt when I'm there because I love seeing my wife. She's beautiful. She's wonderful. She has her faults, just like we all do, but I still love her. She brings that joy to my life. So that doesn't hurt. It's when I leave my daughter after spending a day with my daughter, and I leave her back there at my wife's house, which used to be my house, our house. When I leave my wife, which isn't really my wife anymore. When I leave her, when I leave my brother, when I leave my sister-in-law, when I leave, they weren't really my dogs, but I had a connection with those dogs. The cat, it's like, it makes me feel incredibly lonely. So how do I How do I deal with that? How do I deal with fulfilling that part of myself when I can't? I can't expect some random person to help me shoulder this burden. At least someone who's not willing to. If some random person happens to click on this video and the audio doesn't suck, though, it shows that the microphone's not really picking up anything. If some random person happens to pick up this video, they can click away. I'm not going to force somebody. I've spent some time with a few people, feeling it out and stuff. And they're nice. It was nice to spend that time with them and everything, but I'm a good person. I know I am. A caring person, considerate person, thoughtful person. I'm a loving person. I have a lot of faults. I do. But at my core, those are my values. That's what I strive for, are those characteristics. And so how can I knowingly get involved with somebody in a long term, even an intermittent term, with that, without them acknowledging that, without them understanding that? And I've sort of explained that and, all that stuff, and sort of left it in their court and everything like that. But, I can't, honestly, even if I want to give them that emotional connection that they're looking for. So even if they want to spend more time with me, how am I supposed to give that to them when I can't do it because I'm still wrapped up about my wife? And that's the thing. That's okay. I don't hate myself for that. I feel bad that I can't do that for people. I feel like if I had a different moral compass, I could be a polyamorous person. I have that kind of love in my heart, but I can't do that to people. I want to give all my love to a person. And I can give my affection to somebody, but I can't give that love. You know what I mean? I love people in different degrees, and that romantic love, that intense romantic love. Right now, there's a reservation. And I love enough that there be enough to share. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe that's why I'm so hung up on my wife. Is that I love that intensely. And that if I could share that around, maybe I wouldn't be so hung up on my wife. I shouldn't say hung up, because it makes it sound like it's trivial, and it's not. She deserves my love. She deserves my frustration as well. She deserves my anger at times. And I don't mean that in a negative way. What I mean is that everybody gets wrong sometimes, and it's okay to be angry. But it's okay that I still love my wife. It is absolutely okay. It is. It's hard that I still love my wife when I know she's moving on, when I know that she's being intimate with other people. And I still love her. I still want her back. Even though she's not violating anything, because she's expressed the reality of it. She's laid out very clearly how things are. So she's not doing anything wrong. But it still hurts. It does. And that's okay too. But that pain that's happening, that pain is my fault. Not that I forced her away or anything like that. I can't make that claim. I made my own decisions and she made her own decisions. We've both made our decisions based upon what we thought was best at the time. And what we thought what was best at the time, some of the times, probably wasn't. I have no animosity towards her for her trying to do that. Am I angry? Yeah. But that's because I'm hurt, because I want her to be with me, because I love her, because I think we could work. But that doesn't matter. What matters is the reality of the situation. I still love her. She doesn't want to be with me. She doesn't love me anymore. That's okay. That is okay. And I don't mean okay as in like I am okay with that. But it is okay in the fact that I accept this. That the world isn't going to blow up. That I'm not going to, do something terrible. It's okay. It sucks. And it's hard. But it is okay that I have not moved on. It is okay that I still love her. I'm not trying to convince myself. It might sound like I am. Because if I was trying to convince myself, I already did a couple days ago. So we're already past that. Just trying to lighten that intensity with humor. But that's not my point. What I mean is, why do we have to follow arbitrary rules? Why don't we follow what feels right to us? My character, who I am as a person, tells me to love her. I was trying so hard to move on or to win her back or whatever. What does it matter? If you break it down into steps of what I want, my first step when it comes to her is to love her. Right now in my life, that's my first step. There is nothing stopping me from doing that. She's with somebody else. So, my mom lives over 1,000 miles away. So what? I still love her. I never call her on the phone. I shouldn't say that. I do call her on the phone, but I rarely speak to her. That doesn't mean I don't love her. I still love her. Things don't have to be written just because people feel one way or somebody was petty or enough people have a mutual experience of pain or a mutual experience of suffering or moving on or whatever it is. Just because those people had that experience and it works for those people, fine, cool, awesome for them. Absolutely. If that's how it works for you, go for it. That is you. That is you, do it. Absolutely. And I was trying to do that. But you know what? That's not who I am. You got to be who you are. And it was tearing me up inside, especially with going there to see my daughter, picking her up to hang out with her and all that stuff. That was harder. That was more lonely. Because I have all this inside of me. But I'm having to squelch it down and crush it. So that this might be the case, or that might be the case, or that this might work, or that might work, that somebody's recipe might work. guess what? When you're at different altitudes, you adjust your baking recipe. It's a weird analogy, but not everybody is the same person. We are all very similar. We all have very similar thought patterns and very similar psyches and very similar things like that. But I'm not everybody else. I'm sure there's tons of people like me who feel the same way I do about being honest and earnest and about living with your heart on your sleeves, even when it hurts, even when you keep getting punished for it, even when you keep getting smacked down for it. Because it's right. It's what's right for you. You got to do what's right for you. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. What's right for you? That's what's right for me. What's right for me is to love my wife. That's number one. That's what I'm working on right now, is to love my wife and to admire myself. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm working on. To love my wife and admire myself. Those are my two first steps. Now, do I wish there was some more things to come along? Sure. I wish that my heartfeltness, my genuineness, the quality of my character was enough to make her want me, to even at least explore that, but I understand the reasons that she's made her decisions. And I don't necessarily agree with all of her reasons, but I understand them. And I'm not going to judge her for those decisions. I'm allowed to be angry at her for making those decisions. But what I'm not going to do is let that dictate how I'm going to be as a person. I'm not going to let that change me being a good person. When I first decided that I was going to leave, when I decided I was going to move out, that was almost 3 months ago. Before anybody knew, before any of that, because I knew that she had already checked out. But there was, anytime soon, there was no. Now I want to believe that 10 years of romantic interaction hasn't just evaporated, that I still hold a very special place in her heart, that it's just buried way deep down, that there's still a little flicker of a pilot light there. I hope that's true. But it's not coming out anytime soon. And I saw that. And I knew it was coming. I saw it. Especially with the way I acted near the end, right before I moved out. I didn't mistreat her. I may have said a few stupid things, but I didn't call her down. I didn't get petty. I just was stupid. And I was in a lot of pain. And I let my pain make decisions for me. And that's when I realized that I needed to move out the first time I did it. And then the second time I did it, I realized, yeah, this is not good for my daughter to hear if she's hearing it. This is not good if I ever want any semblance of romantic connection to my wife again. No, absolutely not. I am disgusted by the things I said. And I'll treat this like it asked me anything. I'll be completely honest right now. I begged my wife for her to give me permission to let me kill myself. Because I knew it was over between us. And it's just because I thought I didn't have the strength to put up with all the hardship, which is, I think, really pathetic. And not because of just how pathetic it is on the surface, but because I've been through this before. When she first left me, that was harder than all of this. Maybe it was just the fact that this has been going on for so long, and maybe my endurance was worn down and all that. Maybe that was it. Maybe. But still, this doesn't hurt nearly as bad as the first time. It hurts a lot. I mean, a lot. Like, I don't want to die. I don't. But it hurts a lot. Almost every night, I have to take sleeping pills to go to sleep. And again, that's only because I'm by myself. During the day, most of the time I'm fine. You know what I mean? Cruising through my day, no problem. It's when I have to sit alone at night by myself. And it's not that I hate myself or anything like that. Like I said, it's not that anymore. It's just, it's crushing. It's hard to be alone when you've had somebody there next to you, lying in bed next to you for 10 years. It's hard. It's really, really hard. It's incredibly hard. And I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. And I know people have gone through it. And that hurts me too. But I don't want to die. I don't want to kill myself. I didn't then either. I was thinking I don't know, it was like 2 hours ago when I was in the shower, when I thought about that I should do that I should do a video journal. Because I need a way to get it off my chest. I thought maybe that was part of my brain trying to reach out to my wife, trying to reach out because I'm so alone, because I'm almost as alone as I was then. The only difference is I had a warm body next to me, which makes a big difference. But emotional loneliness is still pretty lonely. Maybe those were just a pathetic, grotesque attempt to reach out to my wife, for her to see me hurting, for her to reach out to me. I don't know if that's true, but I was just thinking about all the ways that I've messed up. And that if I were to try and get back with her, the uphill battle it would be. Because I was just thinking, I did something you're not supposed to do. But again, I was listening to my heart, because to me that's more important. And I told her that I missed her. But I also told her that I'm not looking for a reciprocation. I just wanted her to know that I missed her. But she didn't reply to me. And I usually on Saturdays, at least previously, I know that she would She was going out with her friends and other things, so either she was busy or maybe she was seeing somebody. I don't know. I honestly don't know. All I can say is that my gut feeling tells me that she doesn't miss me. My gut feeling tells me that she doesn't care that we're not together. She doesn't care that I'm out of her life. She only cares that I'm in or not in my daughter's life, which is very important. But it hurts. It hurts a lot. And that's what got me thinking. How could I even begin to convince this woman to even go down that train of thought after I said those things? After I sat there almost on my knees and begged her for permission to kill myself. That was the lowest I've ever been as a person. And I've actually tried killing myself. But that was lower. That was disgusting. But that's okay. I was weak. I was hurting. And I needed somebody. I didn't have anybody. I'm not saying what I did was okay. What I'm saying is that it's okay that I failed. It's okay that I wasn't strong enough. Because right now, I'm trying to build that strength. Because right now, I want to be the person that loves my wife. No matter what. Because that's the type of person I want to be. You know, after I made this decision, actually just earlier today, so I made this decision, I don't know, probably like, I want to say like Monday, at Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I want to say, I made that decision that I can still love my wife. That's okay. It's okay to still love my wife. It's okay to want her back. It's okay to love her even if she never takes me back. Even if I never take her back. It's okay to love her. It's okay to love her and her to hate me. It's okay to throw myself at a stone wall. That's okay. And today, I was watching a video, and it was about Avatar: The Last Airbender. They're talking, and one of the subjects they started talking about was Iroh. And I was like, now that's a man that I would aspire to be. My own version. I'm not saying I'm anywhere close to being such a good man. But that is a truly wise, loving, and caring man. I know he's fictional. But the ideals that his character holds, that true loving spirit, that loving spirit for everybody. How he helps even the thief. Now, I don't know if I'd go that far, but how he understands that man is clearly not a real thief because of the way he's trying to rob him. This wasn't in the video. This was my recollection because that stood out to me. How Iroh saw a man, instead of seeing himself threatened by this man, saw a man who was weak and in desperate need And instead of labeling him as a criminal, or as a thug, or as a lowlife, or as pathetic, he saw the man as weak and in need of help, in need of love. And he gave him that love. He said, hey, look, you're not going to rob anybody that way. Look, your feet are all wrong. You're going to lose the dagger in your hand, blah, 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 blah. I seem like Avatar like 4 times. I mean, there's still tons of episodes that are like huge blanks to me, but Iroh stands out pretty good to me. And that's what I want to be. I want to be somebody who truly loves people, as many people as possible, wholly and with his whole heart. That's who I want to be. And I want to be that for my wife. And this isn't the totality of the conclusion that I had. This next part is even harder for me because this isn't in my ball. This is not in my court for this at all. I would love to be back with my wife. I would love to make that work. I'd love to have all that. Whatever that means. However that means. And that's the hard part. Those steps again. So us being together, that's the most important one. Us having that romantic connection, that profound connection, that partnership again. That's what matters. And something that led to the destruction of our relationship was a profound insecurity. It was not from nowhere, but my own problems escalated that insecurity. I want monogamy out of my partner. But I love my wife so much. I had a discussion with my dad, and he asked me, well, what does this person have? Because he asked me, do you know for sure that she's dating? And I said, yes, she told me so herself. Because when I first moved out, I texted her, is there any chance of us being back together? And she was like, no, I'm done. I found somebody else. And he's great. And he meets me for these needs. My dad asked me, well, are you sure? And I said, yes. She told me that she has found somebody. And he's like, well, do you know why she thinks he's better than you? And I said, well, she feels that in this regard, that's something that's important to her, that she's being met, where I have had, I won't say difficulties, but that one aspect was always a thinner area. When we first got together, we worked out great. But I won't deny that, that there's something called the 80-20 rule, at least that's what I've heard as, which is, if you can find somebody who's 80% compatible with you and 20% incompatible, then that's as perfect as you can get. And my wife and I feel we're much like that. And I feel like the only reason we're not together is because of everything we've been through and our individual faults that have escalated those things we've been through. I really think that we worked very well together. And I think only that the history and the pain and the circumstances have prevented us from staying together. But that's not my point. If she feels like I'm only 60 or 70%, okay. As long as I'm mostly enough for her. Even if I'm 80-20 and she needs that full 100%, and she needs to find that 20% elsewhere, I'm willing to talk about it. I'm willing to at least have that discussion, try and work past that. And that's, my stomach hurts thinking about that. But that's how much I love her. That's how much she means to me. That's how much her happiness means to me. Is that. Now, I'm not saying I'll throw away everything that matters to me. If that were to be the case, then, obviously there would have to be some sort of compensation. There'd have to be some sort of understanding. Like, okay, but then, how is it that you meet me where I need to be met? If monogamy is so important to me in this regard, then how is it that you make me feel completed and safe and loved and fulfilled? How can you do that in those circumstances? But I'm willing to have that discussion, even though I hate that discussion. Even though it's not what I want, I love her that much. I love her so much that I'm wanting to love her even without being with her. And I don't know. It's just, there's a lot. I just, I, I just, it's just a lot to unpack. I, I want to be that person. I do. But it's hard. And oh, I kind of near the end of my rant, and someone finally shows up. That's fine. Thank you for being here. Oh, I appreciate it. I really do. I just, I just want to be honest to who I am. I want to be. I want to be the good person I know I am. But I know it's not easy. It's already been hard. It's only been a few days since I made that decision. I don't know. I it's it just it's just forcing yourself to go through something that there's no reward beyond knowing you're right is hard. Forcing yourself to do what's right because it's right, because it's what your heart's telling you to do, is hard, especially when Sometimes it's so much easier and so much more satisfying to just be petty, be angry, be frustrated, and all those things. And just to I don't know. Now my screen's gone blank. Awesome. There, okay, now I fixed it. I just want to succeed. I want to live up to who I know I can be, to the person that I am, that I've always been, and stop letting myself down and stop letting fear and pain dictate who I am, and stop letting other people's actions make those circumstances happen. I want to have that moral high ground, and not just to be the moral piece of shit that goes, oh, I'm so great, I'm so great because I'm in the right, but have the moral high ground because in the fact of like, like I'm that I'm so you can go to bed at night with a smile on your face, knowing that you made your world, the people that you affect's world, better. Not because you're fulfilling some selfish desire, but because it's legitimately better because you did better, because you were better. I've always sort of, lived with my heart on my sleeves, and that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. And I've always let it go too far. I've always let people push my buttons, and maybe not intentionally. I've always sort of halfway through the conversation, I've always held onto the reins tightly, even when they've been vicious and mean and all those things and stuff. But it's like I can never hold on all the way through. It's always like they keep prodding until they succeed, and it's like I don't want to lose anymore. I know it's an awful way to look at a conversation, but if I'm letting myself down, if I'm coming up short, then I am. And I don't want that anymore. I want to. Anyway, I'll probably be turning it off in a minute and a half. About. I've already gone on way longer than I thought I would, but I tend to ramble a lot. So, and chances are I'll be doing this again because, well, I get caught up in my head a lot. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I never found writing in a journal all that effective because it just makes me feel even more lonely. It's just trapping your own thoughts in a different world. But they're still trapped. It's not really getting anything off your chest. Well, thanks.